How to get an SBA EIDL loan alternative up to $5 million through the SBA 7A loan program. An alternative up to $2 million, $5 million. How about $25K or $35K same day instant approval without collateral, no hard credit checks, bad credit, it is acceptable, lower documentation, and in out the door like this. Hi, my name is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I am a business loan broker expert who's helped out a lot of people of all backgrounds and industries. And today I will be getting into the share screen as you see on the side. It'll say Hybrid SBA 7A loan. And I'm going to show you a great way to get SBA 7A financing, how it works, the qualifications. I'm going to break it down a little bit for you and then get into what it means to get different types of terms at different rates, at different services. And I'll have all of this information down below in the description for alternatives to the SBA 7A loan program. Perhaps you can't qualify for this one, or you can, but there's another immediate use and service you can get into. So please give me a hashtag live if you're tuning in right now, or a hashtag replay if you'll be watching later on. Now, let me jump right into the share screen and get into things. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and cover here, you perhaps heard me go through this before, seen something similar, but I want to make sure you guys fully understand the parameters and what this is. This is a hybrid SBA 7A loan up to $5 million option, including the Express loan and the standard 7A loan. Now, for those of you who are wondering about how about EIDL, well, I've come up with recent content. I'd actually released one, I think earlier this week. I think it was on Monday, where I went into an update on the deferment, the repayment here in October, as well as what's happening with the senators, the administration, perhaps bringing the 3.75% to 1% with the restaurants, and perhaps that being affected to everybody else. Some updates there as well as others. So make sure you go ahead and check that video. I'll try to link you to it down below in the description. Now, let me come back here. The hybrid SBA 7A loan, what is that? Probably this is your first time hearing it and you're going, well, that sounds kind of cool, I guess. The hybrid SBA loan option, best SBA option to get started with if you are profitable with at least 2+ years, recently is best, with strong credit, and need longer time for business projects with a greater return on your investment, long term. And not just primarily just for relief and operational expenses. That can be a secondary, third use, sometimes primary use if you're cash flowing, if your details are really strong. But, you know, when you get working capital or you use this for other purposes and you're looking for an up to 10-year term, because that's what you can get with SBA 7A loans without collateral, with real estate up to 25 years, then, you know, you may not have an immediate need to use these funds, but you just want to be prepared and have them there for whenever you need to use them. And you're accruing interest over time, so just keep that in mind, whether it's low or not. The hybrid, it is two separate loans. One, it's an unsecured financing product, a term loan, a line of credit, or a cash advance. And let me make this a little bit bigger. That can be easily and quickly used as bridge funding and funded much faster. In the meantime, you can use if you need it. If there's no immediate use for these funds, I can understand why you wouldn't want that. The other loan, it's a 10-year SBA term loan, express loan, or a standard loan, which can get a letter of intent within a couple of days, but it takes 6 to 8 weeks for you to actually receive your funds. So right here, as mentioned, if you have an immediate use for funding now, but you don't want to wait 1 to 3 months, but you can qualify, you have the qualifications for an SBA loan and you'd like to be at least looked at, this is the best way to go. We could do this all in-house instead of saying, hey, we'll take you to one lender SBA over here, and then I can take you over here to 3 other lenders for this or 1 lender for that. And in cases, it does make sense. In other ones, it's best to do it in an in-house situation where we can take a look at a soft pull to begin with to see if it even makes sense and to help you in the best way possible. You get the most strategic partnership and roadmap, by myself and my team who I work with. So this is a great option. If you're looking for bridge funding right away, you can use. And then in the meantime, we're getting you approved for the SBA loan. But again, if you don't have a necessary use right away, then you could just look at going for the SBA Express/standard loan. So our SBA loans, they go up to $5 million, as they should. A business needs to be generating at least 120,000 a year in gross revenue and have a 660 plus FICO score. That's for the unsecured products, but realistically, you want to be doing north of 150K. Yes, you can get in with 120K, but it may not be the standard 7A loan that you're looking at getting, which is 350,000 and above 350K, I should say. But for getting an express loan, you can look at getting that between 20 to or 50 to 150 to 350. That would be more of your range. So more realistically, 120 is great, but if you don't have the minimum, it's best to be at that 150K, if not 250K for an express loan. And a lot of lenders will not look at your file underneath 250K, but some of us will. So it may still be in your best interest, even if you don't get above 350,000. I'll show you an alternative. Up to 350K or even up to 150K, or have north of 300K and 400K, if not 500K in annual gross revenue for the standard SBA 7A loan program. And that's where I'm speaking about, not the express up to 350K. I'm saying above 350K. More ideally, you want to have a 400,000 in annual gross revenue, if not 500,000. Certain lenders will look at that and then go, hey, yeah, we can look at getting you above 350K with approvals above that, and a 680 FICO is generally the facility there that we look at. Not in all cases will it be within a 660 or 650, but if your business credit outweighs your personal credit, then perhaps. But even at that extent, have that 680 plus FICO. So your basis point should be, instead of 660 at a minimum to get in with the revenue here, try to go with the 680 and above. Try to produce the most amount of revenue you can per year and better your situation that way, so you have better approval odds as well as getting the higher amounts. In addition, we will need to see the three most recent business tax returns and 3 most recent years and year-to-date financial statements. The SBA goes primarily off of credit score and profitability of your business. With at least 2 years of profitability, most recent is the best. Note, if you have an existing business loan that is not idle, we can refinance sometimes up to 2, even more. Consolidate up to 2 or more. Merchant cash advance, it just depends on your situation. Benefits, monthly repayment, you get fixed interest rates, but they could be variable interest as the market keeps shifting right now, sometimes every 90 days per quarter if need be. Prime rates, they're plus 1 to 3.75%. So right now 6.25 plus 1 to 3.75. You'll sometimes see express loans being prime rates plus 3.75. So at a minimum, maybe 10, and at a middle, 10.5. But if it's variable, sometimes you see above 10.5 to about like 12% in some cases. But just be aware that in today's marketplace, a lot of stuff can be very variable because of our economy and the change in market every 90 or so days, even less than that. There's another evaluation. You can still apply for this if you have idle loans and it doesn't affect it. And if you have a merchant cash advance or other loans, SBA can consolidate. We just have to see how much remaining balance you have, if there is any. And it's not always so much of a concern if you paid off more of the balance to consider you a consolidation. That's not what it usually goes by. But just keep in mind that if you have other solutions available, and you can always get multiple SBA loans. So let's say you had an express loan and you needed to set another one, probably get you another one or get you a standard 7A loan, then an express loan, etc. Approvals factor all documents like personal and business tax returns, year-to-date financials, profit and loss, etc. But commonly you see between 10% to 15%, if not 20% of your annual gross revenue / sales approved for. But since it is SBA and we factor more documents, approvals can be lower or higher depending on it. So what I say to that is, it's not just cut and clear that with other solutions, let's say you're producing 30,000 a month, well, we can approve you up to 75, up to 150, up to 250% of that. Or we can look at the average monthly sales within the last 6 months, the highest amount. And we do that. We factor in 10 to 15% of your annual gross sales, but we also have to add in the other components of your EBITDA, of your debt service coverage ratio, your profit and loss, your business and personal tax returns together. So you could be producing more and you could get more than what you would traditionally see in an alternative like private lending solution. So there's those factors. I know certain business owners, if I'll give you guys an approximate range, those doing 400 to 500,000 in annual gross revenue, probably getting approved for 400 to 600, 300 to 500. And with collateral, perhaps adds on an additional 200 to 300,000 plus, and perhaps you get into that 700 to 900,000. But if you're not producing 400 to 500,000 in annual gross revenue, don't be let up. And if you have a target goal in mind where you're looking for $1 million, $2 million, there are more alternatives. You can always add on top of it. And it always makes sense just to go into it and see what you can get, because that's not definite, what I just mentioned there. Those are just a few examples and what it could possibly look at. But in your situation, it'll be a lot different. So producing more annual gross revenue, profitability, all of these things factor in getting you an approval amount and seeing how much you can actually get. And it can combine to be a lot more. So just keep that in mind. And over here, we look at all of them, how much we approve for in-house, soft credit pull to start. But as they proceed and it goes through higher underwriting and you're qualified to move forward, it then turns out to be a hard pull towards the middle to end part of it. Underwriting checks. Credit, it's what gets people. SBA 7A loans, like I said, they are based on profitability. You have to be profitable for at least 2 years, sometimes at least 10%, but most recent 2 years is best. Others would look at 0%, they would say 20%, 5%, but at least 2 years plus profitability, most recent is best. Low debt to income ratio, I'd say less than 43%, and lower numbers are best. Keep it below 43, keep it below 30%. Pay your credit cards as fast as possible. Low credit utilization, less than 30% credit utilization, but keep it very minimal. Smaller inquiries, nothing bad on your credit reports like late payments, history of bounces, negative bounce, business cash flow, tax liens, and so on. Hard credit pulls for this program, but we can do an in-house underwriting look before pulling hard and doing all that. And a lot of the times you're told when it'll happen. Plus, you have to demonstrate significant use of funds for growth and expansion and not just recovery like the EIDL loan. So that's where this differs. In case this is your first time watching me, I've spoken about the SBA 7A loan repeatedly, probably week in and week out. And I also do it just so you can get a better understanding. And sometimes we need to hear the same thing over and over to fully understand it. But EIDL loans versus SBA 7A loans, I already created content on this. I'll link you guys to down below. And you get to see that this was a disaster type of situation, or this is more of an economic injury disaster. And over here, it's partially for that reason. You may have been affected by it because of COVID and for other reasons. But we also want to see, as the lenders, myself and everybody, what are you exactly using these funds for? What are your primary, secondary, even more uses of funds? Do you have your numbers together? If we gave you this amount of money, what it would do for your return on your investment? You're buying equipment, you're going to double, triple, quadruple your revenue. You're going to use it for more inventory. You're going to use it to build. You're going to get a new place. You're going to get a new office space. You're going to then build something on the roof. There's so many reasons that we can get into, but just have the proper use. Don't just come into this blindly thinking you should just apply. You'll need business credit established to at least have a decent paydex score and built with 3 of the business credit bureaus, the main ones, and have some accounts reporting. A 155 plus FICO SPSS score, business liquid credit, but sometimes you can override this score when you're getting over 350,000 in funding. So you're above that express loan category, which, and if cash flow looks clean, you can show strength in business experience like you have in your FICO credit, revenue, and more. And so we're weighing the two scores. We're looking at what are you doing with your personal credit and your business credit. And they're going to be weighed, maybe not equally. One is higher than the other. You still have to work a little bit here. That's why you didn't get approved for as much as you were wanting. Or if you don't have any business credit, that's going to be a problem, at least with 3 reporting trade lines or accounts open. You're not building vendor credit. And it normally takes about, in this market, 6 to 8 months to fully have revolving lines or lines open. And for it to be considered, I'd say more established. In other circumstances, you can see less than about 4 months. The 1 to 2 months isn't as open. Less than 4 months, but more realistically after or between 6 to 8 months. But just after that 6th, 7th, or 8th month is when I would be looking at reapplying or applying for an SBA loan, given that you have everything else put together. Collateral, it's not the primary part of the SBA that uses to determine if you get approved. Rather, it's cash flow first, equity, liquidity, and then it's collateral. So if your cash flow is strong enough That can help service the debt, but to a degree, collateral is something that the SBA requires its lenders to pledge. The borrower should pledge. Collateral can take on all shapes and sizes, like putting a second mortgage on your house for the lender. You can also put a UCC filing on the equipment. There's unpaid invoices, inventory, leasehold improvement. Sometimes if it's not fully collateralized, the lender may require life insurance, policy, term life, or other real estate you own free and clear. Or if you own free and clear, if you don't, own free and clear, we might put a lien on that / those. Any loan over 25K, it's usually secured with collateral. But like I said, even if it were an express loan situation, collateral may not even be required. And even standard 7A loan, but we just want to see maybe what you have or don't have. And if cash flow is strong enough to service the debt, that's another way we can look at it. It depends on lender per lender case, per industry case as well. We won't get declined for lack of collateral and for having a limited amount of it. Doesn't mean we're not interested in it. It can at most times mean a hard no. And even if you don't have it in any or enough, the lender will at least ask for it. You will personally guarantee if you're 20% or more of that as the owner. Also, do not have issues with these public records. No bankruptcies or foreclosures in the last 3 years at least. Some other lenders probably look a little bit more deeper, but no outstanding collections, no open tax liens, and I would say that in the last 3 years would be helpful. No recent 30+ day late payments. Cash flow, sufficient business and personal cash flow that will help service all of the debt payments, demonstrated by 2+ years of tax returns, your credit reports, and interim financial data. SBA specific criteria, no felonies, no delinquencies, and or default in government loans. You can't use SBA 7A loans for the following. No investment property use. So for those of you out there, fix and flipping, rental property investments, and all that won't work. And so I made content recently on the SBA commercial real estate side of this with the SBA 7A/504. So if you guys would like to learn more about that, then look down below in the description. I should have information on that. If not now, I'll update it once this video is fully live and on replay. Such as an apartment complex, single family homes, or any kind of commercial real estate that is not owner occupied. So it's a difference between owner occupied versus not owner occupied. Documents that are needed. Sometimes I'll tell you how to email it to me or how I will be organizing it. So if it's via email, it's very safe and secure. I'll just put it in my Google Drive or elsewhere, and it's very nicely put together, stored, so I can send it over to the lender. I'll look at all of it first and foremost. I do my own evaluation and analyzation and underwrite the file, pre-underwrite it myself before I send it over, so I know what to expect. And then over here, what I'll be asking from you, and before I go into any of this, what I want to make note of, apologize if it's dark. Again, it's my HP lighting thing. It's kind of weird. Before I go into the documentation, I'm sure a lot of you maybe have dropped like flies already out of this. And I'm going to show you an alternative if you can't qualify for SBA loans, and I'll have more information down below. If you're one of those individuals, this is kind of a sorry, not sorry situation, and it isn't me being negative or aggressive. I have individuals who they say one thing and they do another. It's very common. And, it's not an excuse. What it comes down to, it's a personality, it's a character flaw, or more than one. And what I see a lot of are individuals who say, hey, yeah, just send me this and I'll send you over the documentation. Do you think in my ears that's convincing? No. Sounds good, but I know better. And so when people say something, I want to know if you actually show it with your actions. Will you be open enough? Will you allow to give me feedback when I'm asking for it? Do I have to email you once every week or 2 to 3 times every week if I have to? And I don't want to do that. You say you'll do something, then do it. But if not, this is why you get an email from me every now and then, or you get a text message, but you go cold. This is why perhaps you received a phone call. Like I have people today. God, it's kind of frustrating, to be honest with you. I don't get frustrated. I'm a very patient person. It's very hard for me to even use that word. I have patience, and I don't get up here. I don't get disjointed. I don't lose composure. The thing is, individuals come to me and don't say something you cannot fulfill on. Just don't do it. I don't know if you've been going through your whole life that way, but it is to me in a way. I don't want to use the word disrespectful. That's a little strong. But I would say it's irresponsible, unaccountable. That's what I'll use. And again, if this truth hurts, hey, that's what it is. It's nothing more than that. You just have to come to a realization. And I've had business owners who go, well, if you're going to keep emailing me, well, what do you mean? I've sent you what I needed. And over the course of 3 weeks, you haven't responded back. You've been telling me the same thing. I've sent you, even in the week, I sent you 2 to 3. I don't want to keep sending you stuff like that if you're not going to be responsive. So today I caught somebody in the act of that. Send me an email, and then immediately I replied back to it right then and there. They were not, if you're going to keep sending me emails like that, no, I sent you the information on what I needed for documentation. So this is all on you. I'm sorry, but it is all on you. I don't want to feel guilty. I'm not a guilty party. It's just you're being irresponsible and unaccountable, unreachable. I called and then no answer. It wasn't a surprise because it happened in the past, like a week or so ago. And don't put me in that position to do that, please. So I'm going to get right into the documentation I'll need, but I just wanted to make note of that because you don't have energy or time to waste with somebody who does that. Somebody else's character flaws and bad habits and routines. Don't bring that to me. I don't want that. And other people go, well, he's the marketing guy. No, I'm not just the marketing guy. I am the business loan broker / agent. In case you didn't know this, it's a one-man show back here. Yes, I could hire a lot more people to help and outsource certain parts of my work, but I like the way that things are right now. And if you know about me in my past, that I began my journey online, starting a digital marketing agency, learning the skill sets, not selling per se, but just understanding how marketing worked. And then got into affiliate marketing, earned other ways of passive income. But I really wanted to get to this, and this was business loan brokering. I always wanted to. And finally, when I got onto it, I used what I was able to learn over here and apply it here. So if it's a deficiency you may be lacking, but you are unrightfully telling somebody else, hey, you're just a marketing guy. Well, you probably never had to market yourself or market something. You probably always had somebody to do it for you, did you? Or maybe you did and you have that understanding, but you just don't get where I'm coming from. And I'm trying to understand where you come from. See, I don't close down. I don't jump to assumptions. I question things. And that's what entrepreneurs do. They question. If you're just a business owner, you do probably the same, but you're not always questioning to get to the actual truth of everything. So with that said, let's jump back into this document and make sure, please, you go through the emails. Perhaps I have emailed you back, and if I haven't yet, I will do so soon. Tomorrow's my catch-up day, as is Saturday. Now, 2021 business bank statements, 2022 recent 6 months of bank statements. Now up here, we go into 2023. That by then I will need the 2022 bank statements. And then so in this year, just the recent 6 months of bank statements, 2020 and 2021 profit and loss balance sheets, your year-to-date profit and loss and balance sheet, at least through Q1. Previous 3 years of business and personal tax returns, your aging AR/AP reports, if applicable. Your business debt schedule, if you have debt. The application, it will be sent to you via HelloSign, and I'll tell you if I've attached it or not. Usually this will be in the form of an email. It will be more customized. Personal financial statement, that's what PFS stands for, form, attached or not. The debt schedule, whether you have your own or not, one may be sufficient enough, or we might need you to fill out another one. If you meet these requirements and qualifications, and you guys see this in red, I'm not shouting. This is just some tough love for you. And I can pinpoint different businesses who just take forever to do this. You become very unresponsive. I don't want to, you want to talk to me to gather information. I get that. But that's why I don't get on phone calls with everybody, because it's not like it has to turn out to be something right away. It's just you go ghost over the period of time. So I can't trust you if you're going to do that. You're asking, can you trust me? Sure. You'll get that in time if you haven't. But I'm asking myself that question of you. Are you a trustworthy business owner? Are you reliable and accountable? A lot of you, I can put a check mark next to it. And a lot of you, I can put an X by it and say, nope, all three of these not, or one of the three, or no, you're actually on point. Good. You say what you're going to do, you do it. You're punctual. Well, my business gets in the way, Michael. You have to understand me. I'm just not, I don't have the time to do it. That's not what I'm saying. We all get busy. But the difference is the individual who takes action. And you know when you'll take that action. If it were important enough to you, you would take the time to do it. And I get it. You don't put a time on something. It's okay. If you can't fulfill on it, don't do it. Don't say something you can't fulfill on. But if you're like, well, okay, in some time, okay, I get that. I'm not going to be there like expecting something. If you say, I'm not going to need the funds now, I'm going to come back in 2 to 3 months or something like that. Well, I'll just keep you in the loop. I'll stay in touch. Nothing heavy, ever. And I have a lot of individuals who are trying to get an SBA loan. And until this day, why haven't you emailed me? Why didn't you? I've emailed you. How about you pick up your phone, please? And I'm trying to call you. And I know you're busy, and I'm an introverted person, and I'm thick-skinned. It's just, why am I being put in that position? So over here, and I know other people would say, hey, well, this kind of comes off negative, man. Who's this guy? And I can see that being a case if you're new to this, but I'm not like that at all. I'm not a cocky person. I'm not negative ever. Sorry about that, getting a phone call. What it's more about is just getting your understanding that if you ever work with me, you're getting punctuality. Whether you work with me or anybody else, nobody wants their energy or time wasted. 3 days drag out, and you're like, well, I just wanted to get this started earlier. And yeah, that's a lie. And then it's not even a lie in all cases. It's just, I get it, you get busy, but at the same time, you're not punctual. You're not there when you need to be. Also remember, so I said here, willing to be patient enough to send me your documentation via email or however I'm asking for it, for what is asked for right up above, and you don't mind waiting those months for that SBA loan. But in the meantime, like I said, the bridge funding, if you need that, we can look at it. Whether it's an express or standard SBA 7A loan, we can look at getting you immediate use of funds right now. In the meantime, or if you don't, it's fine. I still recommend this solution because of the in-house way I set it up and everything. And it's at least good to know what you could get as opposed to just not knowing. And it's a soft pull, so it won't hurt that. Also, we can evaluate you for the term loan, cash advance, and/or line of credit, so we can get you those funds faster. And in the meantime, we're still evaluating you for the SBA, and if approved, for the SBA, you can use that to pay off the existing amount you have in others and put it all under one if need be. This usually doesn't require collateral, isn't the SBA's first look. It usually is cash flow strength, then equity, liquidity, collateral is usually last. But just so you know, to get the full amount you'd like, we'll want to know you have any assets at least, and what's possible of a down payment if you're like doing a business loan acquisition for the most part, a lot of cases. Usually 10 to 20%, a lot of the times just 10%. But not always needed unless business acquisitions, like I said. And then there's seller financing, so you may put down a little bit more if they don't want to commit even more than 50%. I've explained the rates for the cash advances separately elsewhere, and I have another document in a video where I came out on the unsecured business term loans, so you might want to watch that one. But for unsecured term loans, like usually 1 to 2 years, sometimes they can get pushed out more in extreme circumstances. What's 1 to 3% per month. Sometimes you get 1 to 5 years, but in this market, like I said before, you don't normally will see longer terms with unsecured financing. It has to absolutely make sense. Like you have such a long-term return on your investment and you're getting new contracts and you just have to fulfill on this in 3 years. Well, that will be an extreme circumstance. But if it's not towards equipment, I mean, towards equipment, we can understand giving you 2+ years, 3+ years. On top of that, even more uses of funds. But if you're looking for unsecured financing, the point of it, this is what not a lot of people understand until I explain this. If you're looking for unsecured term loans, lines of credit, I don't know what's wrong with this screen. Before it would get bright in here. Now it's just when I remove everything, and the HP lighting supposedly helps, but it goes back and forth. And so unsecured financing, 1 to 3% interest per month for unsecured term loans. It could be similar to that with a line of credit unsecured, Merchant cash advances, somewhere between 1.19 to about 1.5, if not 1.19 to 1.7, more or less. And so what you have to understand is whether you get 3 months, you get 11 months, you get 15 months, 18 months, perhaps you don't get above 2+ years. This is bridge funding. You should be able to make that return on your investment in a lot of time. You shouldn't be looking at it like, well, I wanted 3, 4, 5 years just to sit on this money. Well, what if you don't get approved for an SBA loan? What are you going to do then? Well, I have to go back to my business plan and figure out how I need to use these funds for what return on my investment will it give me? Will I be able to increase my profit margins, gross profit margins, net profit? Not always a concern net wise, especially if you're taking shorter term types of solutions that could help over time. But what you have to look at it is, how fast am I growing? Do I need funding now? How much time? Just give me it. I'll pay it off in 3 months. I prefer when you do something like that as opposed to say, I needed 3 years. Well, you can't even get the amount you were looking for. We can start you off at 30,000 because of what you're generating in revenue/sales and a little bit more. So you needed 150,000. Well, we're getting you approved for an SBA loan. If you only got approved for 100,000 in an SBA loan, well, how do you get the other 50,000 if you needed it? There's bridge funding. 30,000 there. Perhaps you get approved for a line of credit at 15,000. So you're more or less there, a little bit coming out of your own pocket. You're already cash flowing enough that you can sufficiently use it for it. And there are more reasons. So think outside of the box, not just in the box. So that's what it is there, more or less, and what we can look at. And then just a few more bits of information. Now, let me see if I have this other part. Okay. So I just wanted to conclude with that. I won't go too long. I know it's 30 minutes in. I don't want to do an hour video like I've done in the past. Some of you who know me already, perhaps have attended these, know that I can go to an hour and above. For energy and time, understand that the SBA 7A loan is a great alternative to the EIDL program. You have the 504s out there. You have the SBA Community Advantage program, the Microloan program, A2A mentoring, and a few other little subsets. And then you have other alternatives to the SBA loans and 504. What you have is merchant cash advances, traditionally or untraditionally. There's hybrid ones, unsecured term loans, secured term loans, unsecured lines of credit, or secured by collateral. You have accounts receivable financing. There's so many different options on the table. And I've left content for you down below, and I could spend a whole nother 30 minutes doing that, but I won't. And so what I want to leave you guys with is a questionnaire form down below in the description in case you haven't gone through it, where if you fill it out, you can get a very personalized and customized email response on your best funding option and options, thoroughly broken down. And I'll show you from top to bottom what you can qualify for and what you can't. And those of you who have already submitted it to me, I've been getting text messages from some of you. I will get back to you. Fridays, Saturdays are my catch-up days. But for those of you who are thoroughly interested with an SBA loan and you have the qualifications for it, and we've gone to the part where I'm just looking for your documents. I just need your documents now so I can go ahead and analyze them myself and then go ahead and organize them, go to my lender, go to my team, submit it, follow up, underwriting, and get back to you. It's not a lot to ask for, but it can be if you're that person who's going to stretch out the process way too long. You're just trying to figure out the very minute details about every little thing, which is okay to some degree. But there are bigger things to look at. So that's what I'll leave you guys with. If there are any applications you guys have and have concerns with, please get a hold of me. I'm always here. I'm truthful. I'm not going to give you something bogus, give you a runaround. I don't have time or energy for that. Nobody has that. And so, again, all options down below, questionnaire form, as well as all other content. And yes, I am a bit tired. If you guys know this, I had to speak with a few representatives from one of my lender companies and had to get through to a few things to help out a few clients. It was a dragged out process with a few of them, more than what I would have liked, but it had to be done that way manually. So that got me a bit tired, not frustrated, just I'm a guy who spends energy and time efficiently. And if it's not, somebody's not verbally communicating it with me or in another form, I'll get to the point of things and there's a time to elaborate. So that'll be everything for myself. I'll keep looking out for your guys' information and following up with those of you who are already in the underwriting processes, the application process. But yeah, that'll conclude everything for myself. Take care.